I'm Janice Gordon. I'm the head of the upper school here at GPS, and I am privileged today to be joined by three wonderful young women who are graduates of GPS last year. They're all currently freshmen in college. We're going to take a few moments to allow them to introduce themselves and tell you what school they're currently attending and their major if they have declared one. And then we're going to get into a series of questions with each of them about how GPS helped prepare them to do their absolute best in college. So girls, welcome. So glad that you took some time to come back and join us, that you're not back in college yet, which is kind of exciting. So we'll just start down here with you, Olivia, if that's okay, and introduce yourself.
Good. I am Olivia Kelms. I go to Brandeis University, which is in Waltham, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. I am undecided. Right now, this week, I'm thinking maybe like anthropology major on a pre-med track and do some kind of medical anthropology. Maybe, we'll see. That could change with the next semester. So,
I'm Ellison White. I go to Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm a nursing major.
Hi, I'm Emily Wu. I go to Purdue University, and currently I'm thinking of economics. I'm undecided, but with a minor in French.
Ooh, you
Yes.
could do business in France. I will come with you. I will be your attaché. I'll carry things. As you walked around your first year, this has been one semester under your belt, right? So as you've walked around and been in classes with other cohorts, so other freshmen, what have you noticed that has set you apart from other students your age?
I think for me personally, like taking initiative in class is like a big thing, because like here at GPS, like we didn't have a problem, like students don't have a problem raising their hand, like asking a question, like you're very comfortable like being able to talk to like your peers, like your teachers, and oftentimes in like the beginning of class, I think like people who were like kind of timid, they were like scared to raise their hand or ask a question, they'd just be like, oh, I'll just go talk to her after class, or like, I don't know, but for me, I feel like that definitely like set me apart, because like at GPS we were like taught that that's how like you communicate, that's just what you do, and it's like, I think that really helped in college.
Yeah, definitely with scheduling, with balancing everything on your plate.
Right.
Being in college, you have so much stuff to do, just clubs and extracurriculars, and also just classes, studying. And so coming from GPS, where you've already gone through all of that, you are able to better set your schedule, use Google Calendars, set reminders, alarms.
Time management.
Yes.
I definitely agree with Ellison, and like the participation is a huge thing in class. Like, I'm definitely not scared to participate in class. Like that's definitely, I always contribute to the conversation, especially if it's like a discussion. And that definitely, just like, I was definitely set apart, specifically in like discussion groups, like my TAs and my professors would like come up to me and like start that conversation after, because I'm like, I'm engaging and there's like seniors, only people else are like seniors talking, and I'm like, oh yeah, and then like adding on, and so that's like, that was really great. It was kind of surprising that that was what it took, but like it was natural for me, so
Right.
That was nice.
That's awesome. So academically, let's focus just for a little bit on that. So time management's important. You're probably sitting in the front of your classes. You know where your professors' offices are, and you know their office hours, right? If you needed them, you know how to find them, and you know to advocate for yourself, which is constantly one of the things I talk about that our girls have when they leave. It's phenomenal self-advocacy skills. Let's talk about the academic side though, right? How well did you feel GPS prepared you for your freshman year in college?
Definitely the writing part. Writing portion. And so in my government class, we're using APSA format, whereas at GPS we use MLA. But honestly, it's really cool like seeing the different formats. I've had to help some of my friends who don't know how to use the MLA, and I'm like, oh yeah, you can just do this with your name, do cite. This is how you cite. And they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, I had to use it all the time.
I've used that since 8th grade.
Yeah,
Right.
And definitely the English courses here for sure set me up for writing essays.
Great.
And
I will be sure to let Miss Ingalls know that.
Yeah.
As the department chair, Miss Ferrati, and those amazing teachers.
Yeah.
What else?
I would for sure say like both, like, and honestly every subject, like academically I felt prepared, because it's not really about like the specific subject, but more about like the study skills that I learned here. And I think that like that was a huge part is like knowing how to study, and GPS has like prepared me 100% for that, because being a nursing major, like I have to study like all the time for every single class that I take. And like with anatomy and physiology, I took it in high school, and Miss Hasmore was my teacher, and like we would shoot her teaching skills are like similar to how it's taught in college,
Right.
which I think prepared me a lot. And like, I don't know, just mainly the study skills. Like I know how to study, and that sets me apart from a lot of my peers because they don't really know how to study.
Yeah.
And here we just would use like flashcards, like we would study in groups or just different like, mainly study skills.
Definitely like knowing at GPS, like we talk about like our study skills so much, and like we kind of get very familiar with like our own personal learning styles, which is important to understand that not everybody has the same, and that like whatever, you know, if you're gonna do a study group, like you have to understand that like there's gonna be different areas that they need to focus on that you don't need to focus on, and so you can't like rely on a study group to like get you through it. But I would also say that like just the sheer like ability to plan ahead is so important. So important. Just like the act of buying an agenda is like sets you like miles above. Like
Yes, go agenda. And Google Calendar. We could do either.
Yes. I need to write it down because I can't do the technology. But yeah, just being able to plan ahead, because it's not nearly as hands-on in college as it is here with teachers, and so you just have to be able to like read the syllabus and know that like you have to get ready for this thing that you have to do.
Right. So I love that in your answers you actually mentioned teachers, right? Ms. Sizemore was mentioned, some of your English teachers are mentioned. One of the things that I really pride GPS on is the ability for our teachers to form incredibly strong relationships with our girls. Take a moment to talk a little bit about that, and I'm not necessarily asking for a call out for a particular teacher, but if there's one that you have that you want to, but it's more about just overall relationships with teachers here at GPS and how important those are. Would you mind speaking to that for just a little bit? And maybe how it's different in college, right?
Yeah.
Bigger classes, TAs instead of true professors. Take that wherever you want to.
Yeah.
I would say that the teachers, like the connections that I form with teachers here, are probably one of the things that I hold the most valuable as being a graduate from GPS. And I don't. It's so incredibly powerful just to see, just to have teachers like the teachers that are here, and just they're so invested in helping you succeed. And I'm not saying that it's not like that in college, but it's just different because you don't, you meet 3 times a week, and the classes are a lot bigger, and you don't see them every day, and it's not like you get to, like you have to actively go out and like search for that relationship, whereas at GPS, it really does just happen so naturally. And I really do think it's probably the most important thing that I have from GPS.
I 100% agree. Like for me, all of my teachers, I consider them more like, even though they were my teachers, they're also like one of my best friends, and like I would talk to them about like honestly everything. And it's not as if like I had to like build that relationship. It was already there. Like from day one, you feel comfortable that you can like talk to your teachers about whatever it is that's going on. And that's like one of the most special things that from GPS that I think was like, it really shaped me into like who I am today. And that's different. It's really different in college because like you do have to go seek after that relationship if you want it, but you can have it because you just have to go to their office hours and like just establish a relationship. But here, they were friends, teachers,
but it's also like
everything.
Really valuable, like being able to know what that relationship is, like having that relationship already defined, and like knowing instead of like going to college and saying this is what I want, instead of being able to like craft it yourself.
Definitely. I remember during some week, I forgot, but I remember missing going into Dr. Harrison's room and being able to talk to him about current events. That was something I really missed because
just one day you went, where's Dr.
Exactly.
Harrison?
The thing is, like,
there's a missile crisis.
Exactly.
Right?
Hong Kong.
Yes, thank you. Right? He probably was dying to talk to you too about that situation.
I told him yesterday, I'm like, you know what, when Hong Kong first came up, you're the first person I thought of.
Right.
Yeah. That's definitely
because of the Asian the
Yeah.
East Asian Studies class that he teaches, just to clarify for those of you that are out there listening to this, Dr. Harrison teaches a wonderful new class here called East Asian Studies,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things you talked about.
But that's definitely something I miss, being able to just walk into a teacher's class and being like, hey, so you know, this is something I need help on, or I just want to talk to you today about this. Like, that's something you're not able to do in college. I have my math lecture is 400 students.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it's definitely the professor. Probably I don't talk to him. My TA, however, on the other hand, I go to constantly because he's someone I can relate to, and he's someone who I've built up this relationship, you know. And so he's been incredible. He reminds me of, honestly, a teacher at GPS.
Oh,
because
who's that?
Just not just specific, but
In his mannerisms and
Yes,
style. I
exactly,
got you.
exactly.
I'm curious if there was someone walking around as a doppelganger for I love it too, and I think one of the things I've been thinking a lot about in this role is how hard it is sometimes for our girls to leave GPS in so many ways. We like to refer to GPS as being this bubble, right, and this amazing space of safety and honor and integrity. But also those close relationships, and then you suddenly walk into your freshman math class of 400 people, and it's overwhelming, sort of the fear of not being able to be known. To be known and seen and heard is, I think, sometimes overwhelming. And I'm thinking about what we might be able to do differently at GPS, if anything, sort of second semester senior year, right? I've got them on campus right now. All of my second semester seniors wearing all of their college sweatshirts, about to embark on the world. Did you get that feeling at all? And if so, or even after having heard the question, is there something we could do to help in that space?
I think as a senior last year, there were a lot of things, like I wasn't really doubting myself, but I was more scared because GPS is a little bubble and it was so comfortable, and the college that I decided to go to is 12 hours away. I'm like the biggest homebody ever. I wanted to be close to home, like with my family, but I knew that was like the right decision for me, because just I think GPS has prepared me so well to know that, like, if you have a dream, you're gonna go after it no matter what, like even if it does scare you a little bit. And what I wish, like second semester senior year, that I like kind of like wasn't as stressed out. I guess I was stressing myself out too much about like where I was gonna be, or like the plans, and I didn't need to have it all figured out, and it ended up falling into place like exactly how it needed to happen. But I think GPS does a great job like preparing you and like teaching you to like go after what you want.
For sure. I will say, like, because Purdue is a almost 40,000 student population, and so definitely like having come from a smaller space, you know, to actively search for a smaller group to be with.
Affinity group.
Exactly. And when I was applying to college, I didn't think of oh, this place is 40,000 people.
Right.
I didn't think that, because that didn't really matter to me. Don't think. It's because I knew at some point I was going to find a group that I could be with. But it is different. But I remember when I was applying to college, I also applied to a learning community, and so that's literally 15 people, and we meet up once a week for a class, or because we all have one of the same classes, and we all live in the same hall, and so they're just my little group that I can bond with, and so it kind of reminds me of GPS.
So a reminder of how you make a big space small, right? And we do that at GPS too. I think about all of you, right? And how you made even GPS that has 343 students in the upper school, not 40,000 by any stretch of the imagination, but how you found, you know, mock trial, and how you really engaged yourself in the health club, right? And how you were super interested in talking with Dr. Harrison about East Asian Studies and current events, and how that was such a passion for you. So how do you make a big place small, maybe as an emphasis we could really share with our seniors? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I remember going through like first semester, like first couple weeks, and like really like first month or so, like just like very obviously knowing or noticing the differences between like college and GPS, and just like having like that just constantly in the back of my mind. And I remember thinking, like, at some point I remember like I just wasn't prepared for this, like this is so different than what I was thinking. But then I like thought, then I was like kind of moved past that and was like, I'm glad it was the way it was, and that I had that at some point in my life, and even though it's different now, it's still, even though it didn't like necessarily prepare me, like even though the relationships that we have with teachers didn't prepare me for the way the relationships are going to be in college, I'm still very, very grateful that it was different. And so I don't think that just because it's a preparatory school that it has to prepare you for everything. I think that some things can be just definitely unique.
Well, and maybe if I can kind of paraphrase that in a different way. So in this season of your life when you were really being formed as a young woman, that it was important to have this incredible safety net, and you were ready. Like when you fell here, because we all fell here, right? We fall all the time. So when you fell here and fall down here, there are so many people that pick you up, that you know how to fail. You fail gracefully, and fall gracefully later on.
Exactly.
In life. All right, so I'm going to ask the question that I get asked probably more than any other question when it comes to admission season. It doesn't matter if I'm with 5 parents or 50 parents, someone will ask this question. There's actually 2, okay? I'm gonna ask both of them to you. You get to pick which one you want to answer first. So number 1, GPS will prepare my daughter for college. I get it. She'll be ready for college. But at what expense? At what expense? Is it too rigorous? Is it too hard? Is it too much? And number 2, that was a loaded question. And number 2, I don't know about this whole girls thing.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just, here's what I think's gonna happen. I'm afraid she's gonna get used to being around all these girls, and she's gonna get off in the real world where her boys live, and she's not gonna be able to hack it. So I need you to coach me on how that's gonna feel. And it is hard for me as a person who did not attend GPS, because I rely so much on the anecdotal information I get from you. And you know what I say? I say lots of things, but it's like, I have talked to all of them as they have returned. And this is what they have said. I want you to take a minute to share that with them. Let's do the boy question first. I said I'd give you a choice, but I'm not going to. Let's do boy question first.
So I from GPS, I transferred from a public school, and that was
here in Chattanooga. You were at a public school.
Yes. And so I was kind of already familiar with the environment. I kind of knew what it entailed. So coming to GPS, it was kind of a, oh wow, now there's all girls, kind of, you know.
The reverse situation.
Right. But I will say at some point it's going to happen. You're going to be in a co-ed environment at some point. Even if it's not college, you're going to be exposed to it in the workforce.
It's inevitable.
Exactly. And I think it's just, I think the thing with being in an all-girls space is that you're able to bond with everyone better. It's just having this kind of communal, you know, shared
sisterhood.
Exactly.
That's what we call it, right?
But for me, it wasn't really that different because I'd already kind of been exposed to it.
Okay.
But it wasn't too bad to adjust to.
So you didn't feel, Emily, just to clear, you didn't feel like you were in that class of 400 holding back because there were boys there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely felt, I felt like, oh, I can do this. Like, and also, it's like, it's just like, sometimes I feel like, you're kind of.
You're being loud, stop talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop answering all the questions.
Exactly. But I definitely feel like, girls could do this too. It's not
I was the same way. Like, I came to GPS my sophomore year from a co-ed school, and I think that that's like the beauty of it, is being in an all-girls environment, is that it teaches you how to be confident in yourself. Like, you're not worried about who else is in the classroom. It's just you, and like you're gonna be confident in your answer and who you're gonna become and like stuff like that. But with like boys in the classroom, I don't think has been an issue. I think it's been more of like, it's different for sure, like having boys in the classroom, but you're all learning the same thing, you're all in the same learning environment, like it still feels the same as GPS. I think the only difference is that single sex education like really promotes like being confident in yourself and like knowing what you want with your education rather than worrying about who's in the classroom with you. Right.
Yeah, I would agree. That is so important. I went to GPS, I've been at GPS in 6th grade, so I went 6th through 12th. So I do remember like the first couple weeks of college, I was just like, there's just like a period of adjustment where I was just like, why are there boys? Like I don't, like I theoretically
knew they would be here.
Like
They're here.
I understood, but like he's sitting next to me in class. Like I don't understand that actually. But that's all it was really. It was just like a kind of like a, oh yeah, okay, I'm ready now. It was more just like a small period of adjustment.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that going to GPS and being here and learning how to cultivate my voice and like what my voice actually sounds like in a group is part of the reason that I was so comfortable in discussion and just participating and just putting myself out there. And I definitely think that would not have been a possibility without GPS.
For sure.
There's something about being at an all-girls school, and maybe this gets lost in translation, but you have the time and the space and grace to figure out who you are. Not pretending who you are, being who you are, becoming who you are. We're all still becoming, aren't we? Always still becoming. But you knew walking out of this institution, you're like, these are things I care about very deeply. These are things these are my excellencies. These are things I know I'm good at. These are some things that I need to work on.
Yeah.
You knew that every single day. I think sometimes in a coeducational setting, because I attended a coeducational school, I was trying to be something for other people for so long, right? That distracted me from my own goals. I was trying to be this for you and this for you and this for you. And a lot of it had to do with the pressure that you have from trying to impress boys. No other way to say that. I mean, you experienced it both in high school, so you know what that's like. I want to go back to that other harder question, right? And before I do that though, I also am like looking at you and thinking about how many opportunities you did have to interact with Macaulay boys on this campus and all of your theater productions that you did, right?
I mean, I saw
social
boys
events and
every day.
So you saw them in so many other capacities.
Yeah.
The oddness was you're in my math class.
Yeah.
You're my
Okay, that's actually you're my chemistry partner. That's actually happening.
Yeah.
So but you interact with them so frequently. I think people who don't understand the GPS Macaulay coordinate program and don't understand what we do here don't recognize that is a huge component of it.
It's not like you're lacking a relationship
Right.
with like
It's not like I
boys,
didn't know
you
how
get-
to make a
yeah.
relationship.
Right.
Like we all had every single girl at GPS had friendships with boys from every school in Chattanooga.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not like you lack that relationship, more just it's like when you go to school it's about learning. Like that's what that's what it should be about. And GPS was 100% strictly focused on learning and becoming who you want to be.
And I'll add on to that because that's such a powerful point. That should just be a tagline, right? Such a powerful point. Also, it's all about girls. So we don't have to spend a lot of time and energy focusing on what the boys need, because boys do need lots of things they need. That's why Macaulay's so wonderful, right? They focus on what boys need. We're focusing on what girls need emotionally and socially, mentally, right? All of those things and academically. All right, let's get back to that other tough question. It's tough. It's a tough question, right?
Yeah.
So you sort of you run sort of the gamut in terms of coursework that you took. Some of you dove into 5 APs a year for several.
That's a terrible
Wonder who did that. So you were in it, right? And some of you are came to us in different years, right? Both of you did. Came to us as a freshman, came to us as a sophomore, right? So talk to me a little bit about that question. Is it worth it, right? It's hard in the moment to recognize that, isn't it?
Yes.
I think 100%. I think for me, going into GPS was like a lot of people going into college because I've never been exposed to a rigorous, like everyone's studying super focused on their kind of work mentality. And a lot of people, that's how they were like in college. A lot of my friends were like, I've never had to study for an exam. I've never had to study. I've never had to do homework.
That I can't.
I know.
That actually happens. That's a real
People
thing.
are like that.
And I think being exposed to it earlier was is a really good thing, because now that you're used to it, it's kind of like you just keep going forward, you know?
Right.
It's like it's not like you're getting to like your adult age and now you're getting exposed to it. You're already used to it.
Right.
And I'm not, it was hard at times, you know, because I think everything's hard at times. It's definitely rigorous, but it's it definitely is so like also good for you in the long run.
I like it in the long run.
Yeah.
And it honestly taught me a lot about how like learning can be fun, like and rewarding. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it is difficult, and at times like when you're up really late studying for a test, but like if you study late and then you make an A, like you're gonna be rewarded, and in turn it makes you feel like really good. And like learning at GPS, I felt like was a very like rewarding system. Like it, if I put in the work and got the grade back, like I felt good. And that's like important, because a lot of people in high school were just like, oh, I just didn't really try, I didn't study, I just made A's, like, but that A didn't really mean anything. And like at GPS, those grades like mean something, and that teaches you, prepares you for when you get to college, and you're gonna put in that work, and when you get the grade, you know it means something. And that's like so important, because when you have a future career in whatever it is that you put the work in, it just feels 20 times better just because you worked hard at it.
And that you're ready.
Yeah.
I want you to be my nurse. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want you to be, and if you decide to go into law at some point, right, I want you to be my attorney.
Yeah.
Because I know the amount of work it took for you to get into that space. I don't know how seriously you took it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I was the poster child for putting too much on my plate. That was
Girl, I pull the poster out sometimes.
Yeah, we talk about it.
It's Olivia.
Yeah, it's yes, that is my legacy. And so I ask myself that question pretty often at GPS. And I would say that having gone through it and looking back at it now, that was, I mean, I could have done things differently. Let's be honest. I could have done things differently, but this was definitely the best place for me to have been to do that. And I think that when we talk about, GPS prepares you, it's so much more than preparing for college. And I think that that's a lot, like education in itself is just so valuable. And the way that we treat it, it's not about getting the grade. It's more about like what we talked about, like finding your voice, advocating for yourself, being able to develop those study skills. Because I think a lot of people who go to GPS probably would be able to figure out all the study skills and stuff if they didn't go to GPS on their own in college. That's not what I find where the benefits are. I find them as you're able to find yourself in a community and be a leader, but in a way that is respectful of everyone else, and just like really just develop your own voice. And I think that is beneficial even if you don't go to college, because
isn't it the whole idea of just trying to develop an active citizenry, right, that you all are, and there's not a way you got out of GPS that you didn't care very much about what's going on in the world today and your role in that space. I also think about academically. In my mind, I always picture a series of shallow stairs, right? That every single year, that it got progressively more challenging on purpose. Dr. Lisa DeMore helped us as a group sort of identify a different analogy, and she said, academics and every single school year is like it's a workout routine. You don't lift, the same 10 pounds all year and think these are so easy. You're not growing anymore. You're not building more muscle. You incrementally increase your weight. And it is hard the first few days that you increase the weight. So every single beginning of every experience in your life is difficult. And you experienced that in college. It was difficult. You've all acknowledged, like, early on, the first couple of weeks, it was supposed to be. And how do you get sort of, all of our girls in this community and the broader community to understand that? But we were hoping to stair-step you gradually so college didn't feel like one giant step.
For sure. We were prepared.
You think about how many of your cohorts as freshmen didn't make it.
Oh, I had 2 people on my floor that dropped out within the first 3 months. First 3 months.
And you know what? 90% of GPS girls, based on the studies that we've done and data that we've gotten back from the Clearinghouse data, 90% of our girls graduate from college in 4 years or less. When parents ask me, is it worth it? When I can share that stat, when you think about a young lady who may have gone to Purdue for 3 months and dropped out, those parents still paid that tuition for those 3 months, whether she got grades for that or not, right? For those students who just crash and burn early in this process, or kind of do college in fits and starts. What a beautiful thing. Most of you will finish probably prior to your 4 years. You probably double major. That's what most of you will end up doing. All right, you know, everything's not sunshine and roses, and there aren't unicorns that are dancing around GPS all the time, right? You're familiar with this. You know, we laugh a lot, we smile a lot, we dance in the theater, we sing songs out loud, but there's some, like, it's tough being an adolescent. No one's going to lie about it. It's tough being an adolescent. It's tough being an adult who works with adolescents. But we're always looking to change and adjust. So I'm super curious, I want you to be honest with me. If you could wave the magic wand, the proverbial magic wand, if you could change one thing about GPS, what would it be?
I feel like we've always been asked this question, and I think every single time, but I find it like, it's like interesting because no one knows how to answer it.
Yeah.
Because we don't.
But I keep asking
You saw all of us immediately like,
We're just like, I don't know, because it's like honestly everything, I am so grateful and like I value everything about this school. Like there's not one thing that I would come back and be like, oh, I wish that it was like this department was different or this teacher was different, because it all was so important in like my learning environment that I just don't think about changing it. Like I think it was also like valuable.
And definitely, even if there were times where you didn't agree with something, or you know you had an argument, it still helped you build yourself as a person, you know,
And like your skills.
Yeah,
as a human.
exactly.
Yeah, like,
and honestly, I don't think it's like for me, I don't think it's a question of what would I change about GPS. It would be what would I change about myself at GPS.
exactly. That's
You know?
exactly what I was gonna say.
Woo!
Because
What does that look like then?
because the thing is, and this takes me back to when I first started at GPS, and I thought at that time, you know, I was like, I can do everything. I was like,
I remember the first day I met you,
oh my
Emily.
gosh.
I remember the first day.
I
I
just
was
signed up for
like-
80 World by accident.
It wasn't by accident, it was
Yeah, but it was like, I was like, you know, I can do all these APs, do all this, and I don't need anyone's help. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, ooh, that was not pleasant. But I'm glad I experienced that beforehand, before, you know, going to college and thinking the same thing, having that same mentality. I think if there was something I'd change about that, it's change how I was back then. Maybe put myself on a more, like, how do you say, like a more humble kind of
Maybe a more humble approach to your, you know, tackling this
for sure.
institution.
For sure.
But it's hard.
It
If
is.
you're coming from a school that academics came very easily for you, which you did, they came very easily for you. You expect the same when you move to another school. You weren't necessarily prepared for the academic rigor that we were expecting of some, or academic excellence, I would prefer to use, if that's okay.
Yeah. And I think that comes into play, like how graduating from GPS, like it honestly feels like such an accomplishment. Like we all walked across that stage and we were just like, oh, like this is like the best thing ever, because you worked so hard to get to that point. And it's not just like you got A's, like you got good grades, like you genuinely worked really hard to get to that point. And I think that's like one of the most rewarding things about it, is that you like got that opportunity to feel accomplished when you graduated from this school. Hard work or not, even though it was extremely difficult at times, and like most girls are stressed out, but we're all stressed out together. We were all dealing with it together.
It's one of the reasons you bonded so much, right?
And I think a lot of what people's perceptions of GPS is that like there's a lot of expectations on the girls here and a lot of pressure, but I don't think that it's necessarily as institutionalized as people as people think that it is. And I think that there are a ton of expectations that I set for myself and that people set for me, and they were really rough, and sometimes I wish that they didn't exist, but I've met the expectations, and I am here and I'm better because of it. And so I think I would say, like, agree with Emily, like, I didn't have to do as many things as I did, and I didn't have to have as many expectations as I did, because, and like, that's just like personal, like that's discovery of yourself, you know, like you don't have to do everything.
Isn't self-discovery very
Right?
I have 2 more questions. 1, I want you to think back, like, what is a memory that you have of GPS that you'll always treasure?
I think my memory would be like my whole senior year, because honestly,
Yeah.
that was like the most, like I was the most like on edge, stressed out person like that I've ever met, because I just overwhelmed myself with like the idea of like
This
college.
is a positive memory.
It's
Also.
positive, I swear. But it was more of like a growing, like that year I grew so much, because I was able to like really understand that like it's not about all the like the applications and like all this stuff, because you're gonna end up where you're gonna end up. And I think senior year, why it was my favorite memory and why it was so important to me is because of the community. We were all going, like every girl was going through the same exact thing. We all talked about it. We all grew closer because of it. And like even the teachers were so supportive that year, like about every decision we would make. It's like not necessarily they were telling you exactly what to do, but more like encouraging you to just follow like your heart. And like I think that's like why, I don't know, senior year is like my favorite year at GPS
I love it.
so far.
I will never forget the day I walked into Dr. Kavina's room thinking it was advisory, but it was
Actually,
actually
you were that's my favorite movie. No, I'm kidding.
It took me a solid 15 minutes for me to realize, oh wait, we're not supposed to be talking about the Chinese. But honestly, it would be just a help, really, like the help from my friends, from my classmates, who people I didn't even know that well, who would just come up to me like, "Are you okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, completely fine." But it would be from when I walked into Miss McCarter's office when I was applying for college, and I'd be like, "I don't know how to do this," and she'd be like, "Here, I can help you." Yeah, Miss Haley helped me with
She's awesome in the college office,
right? And it would just be that, being able to just walk anywhere and seeing friendly faces, being able to, just help, like,
you
all the
knew
time.
everyone here was
Right.
here to support you,
Right.
becoming the best version of yourself, right?
Exactly.
What do you think, Combs?
Yeah, I have. There's so many. There's
I know. I was like,
so
that's a
many.
tough question. I don't think I can
Because-
answer it.
Because
Elsie cheated and said her whole
I'm
senior
like,
I
year.
know.
Yeah.
I want to do a specific one because there are just so many. Like the first things that I'm thinking of are just the friends that I had, and we just spent all day together because we would all be in the same classes, and so we literally just spent like 9 hours every day together constantly, and it was just so much fun. It was so much fun because we all are like the exact same person. We're all like thinking the same. We're making the jokes, and it's so fun. It's just so fun to be in that. And that was like mainly senior year when it was like all of us together all the time. But like as far as like other like options that like the first things that are coming to my mind are like Miss Hamilton, like dancing around like in for history. Like I love that.
In AP US history.
Yes, like she's so dorky and I love it so much. I love it. And like I don't know, Mr. Sanders joking about setting our hair on fire in Chem Lab. Like that's like I love that. Like that is just so great.
That sounds exciting.
Like it,
My
like,
favorite memory.
yes. And so yeah, just all of the I mean, it's a tough, like we said this before, it's a tough school, but I mean it's a tough, like you can have a really tough experience sometimes, but just the fact that everybody's going through it together, it's great. It's a really, really great environment.
And we do laugh a ton.
We laugh a ton. I
We
laugh
a ton here.
constantly. I make fun of myself constantly. Yeah. That was
It's a fun place to be. I can have a tough day in the office, so to speak. Just there's a lot going on all the time around here, and I can go into chapel, and Dancing Queen is playing, and everyone is up and moving around and laughing and giggling and singing, and everything's right in the world.
That's what
Yeah,
was like the
everything's
best part of the
right
day.
now.
Chapel was like the best,
It's
because
so fun.
it's like at the end, everyone's just,
Community. Community.
that's one of the best.
All right, last question. If you were sitting across the table or sitting across the couch and chair from someone, from parents, from a set of parents that are really trying to make this decision, what is one piece of advice you would give about making a decision and choosing GPS?
I would say that there's a lot of things that oftentimes parents consider, like whether it be like the cost of the school and or the single sex education and things like that. But I would say that like the main importance is like the environment your daughter's going to be learning in. And I would just say, personally, for me, especially since I did go to a co-ed school, that it's been 100% the best decision that I ever made for myself, because I grew so much as a person. I found my voice. I was able to just accomplish so many of the goals that I set for myself, and I think that it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't choose GPS. So I think that, like, all other aspects aside, if you're just thinking about the best environment for your daughter and where you see her succeeding, it's 100% GPS.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, the opportunities here that we have as GPS students, and even after graduation, they last through your whole life.
Right.
But the opportunities here, like while I was here, I mean, they're just unparalleled, and like that is probably for me, it wasn't a choice. Like I always knew, like, I was gonna go to GPS. I started in 6th grade and I finished, and even in the hardest times, during the hardest, when I was struggling the most, I didn't even consider transferring. Like it was never an option for me. GPS was always the place for me.
Yeah, and it's funny when I reflect on my when I was here, because I don't remember the moments where I was like sad.
Yeah,
I always
only
think of
remember
the
the happy
moments.
Because you
Yeah,
were
I'm
never
just
sad.
happy.
You were never sad. What are you talking about? There's no
Yeah.
sadness.
No, but there were,
There's
there
no
were
crying.
There's no sadness ever.
I'm kidding.
there were moments of stress and all that.
But you look back and remember the good times.
Yeah, and the thing, I don't remember any of the bad stuff. So
Well, and that I will tell you, that's life.
Yeah.
We all do that. I mean, life is about a sequence of events that happened to you, and you were present for all of them. And you look back and you remember the things that carve the biggest kind of groove in your brain are those that are joyful and fun.
Yeah.
And that's like, so when I ask you that question, I wish you could have seen your face when I said, what is that? Like, what is one memory you'll always carry with you? You all just, I could see that you were flooded with them, right?
Yeah.
You were flooded.
And that's why we had such a hard time answering the question.
Yeah.
Because, like, how do you?
You pick
so
a whole
many.
year.
Yeah.
But my entire time at GPS, so it's joyful.
And the thing is, like, I think today is also kind of a representation of that, you know, because, like, I don't know who else will go and visit their high school.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about that.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, none of my
We're-
friends would want, like, they're all like,
Exactly.
you want to, like, we don't want to go back to
Yeah.
high school. And I'm like, I wish I could go back every day.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
like, I love it. It's like one of the best things ever.
Yeah, and like I wanted to come back so I can see, like, oh, this is where I am right now and this is where I was,
Right.
you know. But it's like it's something that's like, I don't know, it's like, so people here want to come back and like revisit and come back and see those.
And we spend our entire last 2 weeks of December welcoming back girls of all ages,
Exactly.
right? At any point, just they know that this is when we're in exam time, so they come back and share with us what they're doing with their lives. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite events is the Young Alum Holiday Party. So please come. Just being able to catch up with all of those alumni who show up and just so excited and so joyful about their next step in life and proud to share those moments with you, because in some space you feel like you had a part of watching them grow, which is super cool. All right, we're gonna shut this off. Those of you that are out there that joined us for this and are watching this, please know that this was only just a small smattering. We could have had almost any alumni come back and engage in this kind of conversation, and I'm sure some of the answers would have been very similar. But if you have other questions that you have, please reach out to us directly, and we would love to answer those for you. Thanks.